It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. Discipline is the soul of an army. It makes small numbers formidable. To be prepared for war is one of the most effective means of preserving peace. Guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism. Example, whether it be good or bad, has a powerful influence. Liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth. Let your heart feel for the afflictions and distress of everyone. Truth will ultimately prevail where there is pains to bring it to light. Labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. Observe good faith and justice toward all nations. Cultivate peace and harmony with all. The preservation of the sacred fire of liberty is entrusted to the hands of the American people. A primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government. If the freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to the slaughter. The Constitution is the guide which I never will abandon. Government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force. Like fire, it is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Perseverance and spirit have done wonders in all ages. Few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. I had rather be on my farm than be emperor of the world. Real men despise battle, but will never run from it. The basis of our political system is the right of the people to make and to alter their constitutions of government. Happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. Worry is the interest paid by those who borrow trouble. Associate yourself with men of good quality if you esteem your own reputation. Human happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. Let us raise a standard to which the wise and honest can repair. Laws made by common consent must not be trampled on by individuals. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. Be courteous to all, but intimate with few. Honesty is always the best policy. A good moral character is the first essential in a man. The great rule of conduct for us, in regard to foreign nations, is in extending our commercial relations. Party dissension distracts the public councils and enfeebles the public administration. A people, who are possessed of the spirit of commerce, may carry on trade without embarrassment. Nothing is more essential than that permanent, inveterate antipathies against particular nations be excluded. Promote then as an object of primary importance, institutions for the general diffusion of knowledge. To contract new debts is not the way to pay old ones. Experience teaches us that it is much easier to prevent an enemy from posting themselves than it is to dislodge them after they have got possession. Let me warn you in the most solemn manner against the baneful effects of the spirit of party. No taxes can be devised which are not more or less inconvenient and unpleasant. It is substantially true that virtue or morality is a necessary spring of popular government. Justice and humanity call upon us to administer the laws with equal hand. The administration of justice is the firmest pillar of government. Let your discourse with men of business be short and comprehensive. Arbitrary power is most easily established on the ruins of liberty abused to licentiousness. Reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. To encourage literature and the arts is a duty which every good citizen owes to his country. The foundations of our national policy will be laid in the pure and immutable principles of private morality. We should not look back unless it is to derive useful lessons from past errors. The virtue of the people is absolutely necessary to preserve the liberty of the state. A nation which indulges toward another an habitual hatred or an habitual fondness is in some degree a slave. It is impossible to rightly govern a nation without God and the Bible. Do not suffer your good nature to say yes when you ought to say no. When one side only of a story is heard and often repeated, the human mind becomes impressed with it insensibly. Associate with men of good quality if you esteem your own reputation. We must consult our means rather than our wishes. Truth stands on its own. Few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. Nothing is a greater stranger to my breast, or a sin that my soul abhors, than that black and detestable one, ingratitude. I hope I shall always possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain what I consider the most enviable of all titles, the character of an honest man. It is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God. War is an act of violence whose object is to constrain the enemy to accomplish our will. My first wish is to see this plague of mankind, war, banished from the earth. To be prepared for war is one of the most effective means of preserving peace. The time is near at hand which must determine whether Americans are to be freemen or slaves. We should not look back unless it is to derive useful lessons from past errors. There is nothing which can better deserve our patronage than the promotion of science and literature. Peace with all nations, entangling alliances with none. We ought to be persuaded that the propitious smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right. I am for peace, God knows how I am for peace, but I hope I shall never be such a coward as to mistake oppression for peace. I can only say that there is not a man living who wishes more sincerely than I do to see a plan adopted for the abolition of slavery. My mother was the most beautiful woman I ever saw. All I am I owe to my mother. I walk on untrodden ground. There is scarcely any part of my conduct which may not hereafter be drawn into precedent. I hold the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is always the best policy. I had rather be on my farm than be emperor of the world. I hope ever to see America among the foremost nations in examples of justice and liberality. We must take human nature as we find it. The propitious smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right. Let us therefore animate and encourage each other. Citizens by birth or choice, of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. No punishment, in my opinion, is too great for the man who can build his greatness upon his country's ruin. I am not influenced by the expectations of office, or the dread of its responsibility. A government is like fire, a handy servant but a dangerous master. I hope you will all do your best to make the country worthy of the sacrifices which have been made for it. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. I have no other view than to promote the public good and am unambitious of honors not founded in the approbation of my country. Let us raise a standard to which the wise and honest can repair, the rest is in the hands of God. The nation which indulges toward another a habitual hatred or a habitual fondness is in some degree a slave. Be Americans. Let there be no sectionalism, no North, no South. In politics as in philosophy, my tenets are few and simple. Liberty is the basis, and whoever would dare to sap the foundation, or overturn the structure, ought to be considered as the common enemy. Knowledge is in every country the surest basis of public happiness. Promote, then, as an object of primary importance, institutions for the general diffusion of knowledge. To educate a man is to prepare him to be a free man. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. A free people ought to be armed. A sensible woman can never be happy with a fool. Human happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. I die hard but am not afraid to go. We are either a united people or we are not. If the former, let us, in all matters of general concern, act as a nation. Let your conversation be without malice or envy.